Frequent flyer, flies, la 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 la. Frequent flyer is back.
What's up? You checking out the Frequent Flyer? Welcome back to the channel. Smash the like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, I'd like to extend the warmest welcome. It all started with this one right here, the Turbo Racing Mini Coupe. When I first saw this little guy, I was really excited about having a little tiny, smaller than Hot Wheels sized car that was just hobby grade, to say the least. It has proportional steering, proportional throttle and everything, variable throttle, lights, and it was just a joy to drive this thing around, especially on days when it was raining outside or you couldn't make it outside. Having an RC so tiny just makes a small space seem like a big space, and you can have fun with something this tiny on like a table or a desk. So Turbo Racing won my heart in that manner with this little guy, and from there they just kept going with more and more little vehicles, bringing out drift cars. This right here is my favorite drift car right here from Turbo Racing, and they had monster trucks and everything. Love these little things. And they even brought a semi truck. I gotta say that Turbo Racing was my first love. I still love Turbo Racing. They're still awesome. One of my favorite things to do in this hobby is to drive these little tiny nano, or should I say pico sized vehicles around on desks. I actually built tracks for these things, but then here comes this other company, SNT, and they started bringing out little FPV vehicles. And then after that, they actually introduced crawling to a small space. It's really good at what it was made for. It's made to be a crawler, and it's four-wheel drive and all. You have a bunch of options with lighting and stuff like that, and you have the added function of FPV on the top here, if I can get this off. So these little plates can be removed, and even back here there's also another connection point where you can pop on a camera and all. I fell in love with the little crawlers as well. And then they came out with a larger crawler. The Neva and Nano is a larger, more capable vehicle for FPV as well as crawling. This thing is a crawling beast, y'all. And after I got this, I was really waiting for this guy to come out, and I stumbled across this. This is the LDARC X43, really popular little crawler. And these two are practically the same thing. This one actually has a lot more features than this one. As you can see on top of here, I actually used the conversion kit to add the FPV function to this little guy. I don't know why this one is more popular than this one, because this one has a lot more features. This one has all the features and everything. Ton of features on this little truck. I'll have a link in the description for all these things so you can check it out. But I have a video on this, a dedicated video on how detailed and awesome this little vehicle is. I really love this one, but I really love this one as well. And I actually think I like this one a little more than I like that one. And it seems like that's the general consensus between these two. I think this one is more popular. It's probably for the same reason that I think this one is a little better. I think I like this one better because this one has a tighter turning radius. The turn radius on this one is real wide. It makes really wide turns for the size of it, whereas this one makes really tight turns. But they're essentially the same vehicle. I don't understand why this one turns tighter, but it just does. Having these little RCs small is one thing for space to be able to operate them and run them on tables and stuff like that, but it's very important to have a really tight turn radius. I think Turbo Racing started out with a pretty decent turn radius on this one, but not really that tight. But because it's so small, they were able to get away with it. And not until they came out with this little drift car did they actually pick up on how tight the turn radius should be to be able to get those things around on the track really nice. Well, LDARC seemed to get it pretty quick. And so I think that's why this one is more popular than that. But this video isn't about any of these vehicles that I've shown you thus far. It's about this. You probably read the title, so I'll let you guys know now. This is the R01 from LDARC, and it's a tiny little truck. Let me slide this back here. A tiny little truck, but this is not what you probably think it is. I was thinking that this was another little crawler, an even tinier crawler, and I thought it was a competitor to this thing right here. But it turns out this isn't a crawler. This is not a 4x4 vehicle. This is actually a two-wheel drive vehicle, rear wheel drive vehicle, and it has rubber tires and all, and these rubber tires are glued on, and so it's not meant to drift or anything crazy like that. It's just a really detailed little truck that's on the lines of the turbo racing. So I would say that this is a competitor to the turbo racing. This is a 1/64th scale truck here. This one right here, the turbo racing, is 1/76 scale. All of their little cars are 1/76 scale, but this is small enough though to drive around on the little tracks that I built for these little turbo racing vehicles. But this has a really tight turn. The turn on these little trucks are tighter than most of the turbo racing. This one is probably comparable to this little R01, but this thing has a really tight turn radius. It just spells quality. Everything about this little truck here. It has suspension, and look at this, guys. It looks like it has oil-filled shocks, but I don't think it does. But you see that? It has dampening up the front, and in the back it has at least, you know, some kind of shock absorbent characteristic back there. Yeah, I think there's just a spring. It's just tension. But here up the front, and that makes for this thing to have some really nice driving over bumps, small bumps that is. Well, it can be large to this little vehicle here, but this thing is a really smooth driver on the floor, to say the least. Even though I would recommend having your floor cleaned up really nice before you decide to drive this little vehicle, because the hair that you might find on a carpet or a floor can get in here and really cause problems. I have gotten hair tangled up in the wheels before, and it was just a pain to get it out. You're going to need yourself some needle nose tweezers or something to try to get these hair balls out if they ever get in there. It looks like this is just powered by a single 6mm motor. It looks like we have there. I'm not sure how long it is. You can just see part of it sticking out there. But really nice steering with this little guy. It has a pretty decent transmitter. Well, I would say this is an above average transmitter. The transmitter, let me turn the transmitter on. So the transmitter has RGB lighting, LEDs. You can customize the color of this little light on the back there. If you had multiple vehicles or whatnot with multiple transmitters and you wanted to know which one was for which, you can make the color match the color of the car or whatnot. I made this green because I have the green car there. I actually have this one, actually have a larger version of this remote here. Well, this transmitter here. This is the CT01. I think this one is called, let me see, the CT03. So I guess there's a CT02, but this little transmitter is really nice. It has a jog wheel right here, and you can actually store models in here. So the transmitter feels really nice in the hands and all. As you can see, my kids put a little sticker on there. This car came with a bunch of little stickers and stuff. It came with some accessories. I don't know exactly what everything is, but you have a little tiny shovel in here. There's a different grill that you can put on the front. I have the optional grill on there. The other grill is a little more simple. It has this little piece here. I'm guessing these are all spare parts for the vehicle. You have a bunch of screws in here and everything. Something else in here. There's some, looks like steering linkage and everything in here. And you get a screwdriver, little gray screwdriver. Everything screams quality. You also get this case right here with it. And I guess that's all I can really say. If there is anything negative I would have to say about this, it would be that the buttons to turn it on and off and the bind button, they're such small buttons and you can barely get in there to push those buttons. Let me see if I can. Okay, I was able to turn it on that time, but really hard to get this thing turned on and off with those tiny recessed buttons there. They actually protrude a tiny bit, but you can't really get to them like that. And it has USB charging, USB Type-C charging. That's a plus there. That's not a negative. The only negative I have is turning it off and on. Pretty awesome little vehicle though. Check it out. Really quiet. And I was actually surprised at how straight this thing tracks when you're driving it. The speed kind of builds up with it. Let's see, I don't think I have the speed all the way up. It's all the way up now. I'll drive it around on the floor so you guys can see, have a better gauge of how fast this thing is and how straight it runs and all. So let's get to driving it around on the floor. Before we look at this, I just wanted to show y'all one of the little details on this little truck. It has mud flaps on here. Alright, so let's look at this little car on its widest turn radius. That's it right there. Okay, this is the mid turn radius. So it turns pretty tight there. And then we're going to go to the tightest, real tiny turn radius. And so let's go to its speed. This is the top speed on its low rate. That's top speed there. So let's kick it up to the second rate. This is second rate there. As you can see, the flashers are working. Okay, we're going to go to the highest speed. This is the higher speed. The highest speed right here. So it's really booking. Oh, flipped over. Let's look at the lighting functions. So we have, you press this button right here and it will bring on the high beams, but the high beams turn off once you let it go. And so we can get the flashers going. That's just the lights without the turning signals. Press it again. That's this button I'm pressing right here. And we get the turn signals. If we press it again, we get the flashes. And so also on this little car we got rear lights and we got brake lights too, and active braking. Let me try to bring it back around here. Okay, check it out. Check out the braking. That's this motion there for the brakes. And then when you're just going backwards, you just see that bright light there. Okay, and with this button right here, you can turn it off, turn off the lights. The lights are off, front and back. No turn signals or anything. And I think that's it for the controls. We have trims here. Those are the trim buttons. Left and right trim and throttle trim as well. And this jog wheel on the transmitter. This transmitter has an internal battery. It's non-removable. You can charge it up with that USB Type-C right there in the back. Awesome little car from LDARC, the R01. Thanks for watching.